the guys from Ping, they've kind of shown me how much the equipment matters.
I just love that I can hit any shot I kind of want.
We're going to be able to tell some fun stories about what goes on here to help golfers play better golf.
Hey everybody, welcome back to the Ping Proving Grounds podcast. I'm Shane Bacon, joined as always by Marty Jertson. Tony Serrano is back on the pod. Been a minute since we've chatted. Been a minute since the Scottsdale's putters were a part of the new launch of Ping golf clubs. I know that's exciting for 2025.
Right. It's been quite a few years now since we've done a Scottsdale putter. Back, I think it's about 10 years or so, we did a Scottsdale, then we followed up with a Scottsdale TR.
Yeah, I've had one for a long time, Marty. I remember I had the Scottsdale in the bag for a long time, kind of answer style, and it. You remember the adjustable shafts? Remember that run back in the day?
Yep.
I had that thing in there forever. I mean, I think I probably played my Scottsdale. I think it might have been the original run of them. Might have had in the bag for 4 or 5 years. So I was excited to hear the returns here.
Yeah, I think this family has some similarities. I mean, one thing back when we did Scottsdale 10 years ago, had that red color kind of matched our G15 and things of that nature. Here you're going to see our new Scottsdale family have a color tie, a brand tie, that's psychological tie to our G440.
Yep.
Right. So Tony, talk a little bit about just the name Scottsdale. Like, what does it mean to the company?
Yeah. So I think over the last few years, our naming of our putters, we've done a few different things and tried some different stuff. Some of the feedback we've had from our sales reps and accounts is like, can we get back to a name of this line of putters and how that works? It keeps it a lot cleaner, a lot easier to understand. So we went to John Kay and said, hey, this is something we'd like to do. He was open to it, asked for some suggestions of names. The list was very short, right? So we went back to him. We talked a little bit to John Kay about the names and what they meant to Ping. And Scottsdale stood out. And the reason they stood out was a few reasons. One that you just talked about is we had a line of putters before that was very successful for us, and we had a really good run with that line of putters. But also, it's just Scottsdale in general. It's a golf haven. We had the Scottsdale putter that had the PO box or address in the back. That it's a little bit of a tie there, and then just overall, I think where Ping's at in Scottsdale, the golfing, the waste management, all that stuff just kind of made sense. So John Kay was good with that, and we jumped on that name and are moving forward with it.
Yeah. So Scottsdale family. So we have PLDs. This is kind of the meticulously milled putters, customized, things of that nature. That's doing quite well for us. What is the big differentiator between PLD and the Scottsdale family?
Good question. So the like you said, the PLD is a very high precision milled part that we start out of a block and we machine the whole. All those putters are machined and their tolerances are extremely tight. But there's no insert. It's for the player that likes a little bit more of a firmer feel off the face. But even with our Scottsdale, we offer a couple different levels of firmness. I would say our deep mill on the PLD is probably the softest one for a milled putter. And I would say in the Scottsdale now with this insert, it's the next step in that direction of a softer feeling face. So that's the biggest difference. But I will jump into taking an insert and putting it into a putter head allows you to do a few things with your designs. Yeah. One is if you imagine taking a solid face putter and you taking this much material out of it, you're taking 40 or 50 grams out.
Right.
And you're putting 10 back in. So you have 40-ish grams of discretionary weight to work with. So that allows us to move our weight around to make the putter more forgiving, a little bit bigger, without losing the shape or look of that design. So the insert allows us, and I think on the Scottsdale, all the putter heads are approximately 11% higher MOI. Because of the insert allows us to do that. It also allows us to really focus and keep our CG where we want it. So it helps the putter perform better for the player.
Tony, when somebody comes to the lab and they want to get fit for a putter now, and obviously Scottsdale's back in the line, how does that conversation go in terms of, do I go PLD? Do I go Scottsdale? Is it the type of player you are, skill set? Like, how does that make sense for the player coming in?
I personally think it's more of a personal preference when a guy comes in. There's certain players that come in that want that milled putter, that really clean look, the milling lines. And then there's another player that comes in that wants a softer feeling putter, a little bit bigger, more forgiving. So I think it's a personal preference. when a player comes in and does a fitting, and they'll have those options to go back and forth with that.
Also, 9 models, is that right? I saw that and I was like, 9 models seems like substantial amount of different heads
Yeah.
in the Scottsdale line.
Yeah, I think back to our original Scottsdale and some of the lines we've done in the past, we've had, anywhere from 8 to 10 to 12 models. And it's always hard to say what that number is because we want to offer as many different putters as we can with the different stroke types for different fittings for different players. But at the end of the day, we got to pick a number and then try and fill those spots out with a blade, a mid-mallet, mallet, and then the different stroke types of those putters that help the different players.
Marty, I mean, it is interesting. You do think about, it feels like putters these days, I mean, the options are basically unlimited. You think about, I mean, I just went through this a few months ago, getting into a PLD and kind of going through some of the models, a little bit more mallet style, trying to go through that. And every time I go through a fitting here at Ping for putters, it feels like there's more opportunity and there's more styles out there to fit a certain player. And it's like making sure you get your hands on the right ones. You don't want to have too many, I'm assuming, because you don't want to give somebody 30 options, right? And then they get consumed by that number. But you want to make sure that there's some out there to make any player coming through comfortable with what they're going to walk away with.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that can be, folks can walk into, let's say you go to your retail store, you go into a putting corral, you got all these options,
Right.
What do you do? So
Like, where do you start?
Where do you start? So we've built, I know last year when we launched the S159 wedges, we launched this really cool tool called WebFit Wedge. It takes a couple minutes to go through, easy questions to answer. We got a QR code out there to go through it. We're launching now with the Scottsdale a similar solution called WebFit Putters, which you go through, you answer some very basic questions. For example, one of the aspects of getting fit for the right putter is, do you pull your putts or do you push your putts? And we had Dr. Sasha McKenzie on. We went super deep on the science
Right.
of the kinetics and kinematics here. But on a simple level, if you pull your putts and you play a more toe down putter, or in our vernacular, it's like strong arc, that will deliver the face more open. So you go through this very simple WebFit putter app, couple minutes, and it narrows down your options from 9 to gives you your rank order list of 2 or 3
Interesting.
that then you can go try in the corral. So we've tried to really simplify that because we love having a lot of options. It is really hard to narrow down to 9, but at the same time, then you got to zoom consumers in so they aren't confused.
And Tony, I know Craz-E is back, which is exciting. I know for a lot of people kind of within the company.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that was brought back by just demand. I've heard for years just where's the crazy, and we've done different variations of the crazy. The Scottsdale putter or the crazy that we're coming back to is more in line with the original crazy size and shape. People are very excited about it. People have been waiting for it, and just the feedback from our reps, consumers, people that come in here into the lab are like, hey, do you have a crazy? I remember I had a crazy, a G2, a G5. And I think we just decided as a team, it's a good time to bring this back and get this back out there. So it's a putter that has very close ties to Ping. It's for us, it's a very special design for us. And it's the mass properties on that putter are really good. And we're excited to get it back and get in people's hands again.
Marty, we joked about this when we were talking 440. It's like nothing goes away, really. I mean, you can perfect it, you can add, modern engineering to it, but nothing really goes away at Ping. Like, you can always bring back some of the stuff that was successful 10, 20, 30 years ago.
Yeah, the crazy. I have the original G2 in my collection at home in my garage, and I always set it down every month. I'm out there searching for a putter, and I see that original one. And now with the Scottsdale bringing back the original shaping, proportions of the original crazy, with the new insert, and Tony, I want to talk a little bit more about the insert. Okay, it saves weight from the face. The average MOI is 10%, 11% higher.
Correct.
Tell us about this PEBAX material, because people are going to look at the insert. They're going to say, hey, okay, great, face insert,
Right.
a little bigger putter, more forgiving. What is it about this PEBAX material and the feedback that we got from both players, tour, and in our players we test with?
So we've been back to the original Scottsdale. We've been always working with a PEBAX material, right? We've tried different thicknesses, different durometers. We've tried 1-piece, 2-piece. So we've have a lot of experience with it, and we've done a ton of testing with it. On this particular one, we went back to just a single piece. And the durometers, we tried 3 or 4 different durometers, and we've done a lot of testing here with players to get feedback on what feels the best, what sounds the best, and what rolls the best to them. So on this one, it's one of those things where we got to a point where the feedback we were getting was so good on this thickness, on this material, on this hardness, but even the texture on the face is a big part of this. The little details like that, I think, really contribute to how this putter feels, sounds, and how the ball comes off the face. I'm very excited about this insert, and I think if it's not the best insert we've done in a while here at Ping, it's one of the best that we've produced. And I say that because a lot of testing we've done and the feedback we've got is this. Again, it's a softer feel versus like a PLD, but I would say that it's not super soft. It has some firmness to it. The sound is great, the feel is great, but the best thing I would say about this is how the ball responds off the face. It's very consistent. We focused on the designs to make most of these putters full face inserts, so that the consistency across the face with this insert and how the ball comes off is very good and consistent. The only model I'd say that we don't try and do the full face insert is the DS72, and that's because the insert is ball width, which matches kind of the geometry of the head, but also allows us to keep some of that weight on the face out towards the heel and toe for forgiveness.
Will you see tour players introduce the Scottsdale line into their bag, do you feel, in 2025? Is this something that certain players like in terms of an insert versus not?
I do. I think even some of our current insert putters that are out there, we do see some interest in it. And again, back to this insert, I feel like this insert is going to fit some of our players on tour perfectly. I think the size, the shape, the coloring, just a whole new look for us with this Scottsdale line is going to grab a lot of attention. And I think especially in Japan and our LPGA players are really going to be, this is going to really be good for them.
And something else, Marty, that I think is really cool, that it's the first time that Ping has partnered up with SuperStroke in terms of a grip, and it really aligns well with the Scottsdale putters.
Yeah, I think this partnership is new for us. We've never done a ton with a SuperStroke, but we're excited to jump in with this grip and work with SuperStroke. The one thing about the grip, I would say that really I feel like is good for this whole putter line is that it has the grip tapers down like a traditional grip. It has some pistol to it. It's kind of like what we like to do with our putter grips and how we want to see that design. But also, I think it brings some really nice shelf appeal. SuperStroke is a very popular grip out in the industry. We all know that. And again, this is the first time for us going in with them, so we're excited with this relationship, and we'll kind of see how it shakes out as we move forward. But we really feel like this grip is going to complete the whole package, so everything looks really nice out there. And so part of this was when we went into this is we really want to differentiate from PLD. We really want to separate those two lines where if you walk into a putter corral, you see the Scottsdale line, the blue, and then you see the PLD stuff. So there is no question of which putter is which. And that was a big goal for us going into this project, is differentiate between Scottsdale and PLD, and this grip really helps do that.
Tony, putting is tough, and sometimes golfers get a little vulnerable. They want to seek and try new things. Okay, so what about golfers? That want to try. I think the industry's kind of calling it mid-length. The Victor Hovland style putting, where you get a longer grip, you grip down on it a little bit, you got a little extra weight, or even Jimmy Hard K arm lock style. Tell us a little bit about this version and what folks can do to try, either mid-length or arm lock.
Yeah. So the Craz-E putter, this is one thing that's unique with the Scottsdale line. The Craz-E putter that you'll be able to get in standard length or at a counterbalance or arm lock or mid-length. We can do that with both. So the consumer can get just a standard 35-inch, or they can do something at 38 or 37 with this grip. And the grip, again, is the shelf appeal, the colors, the whole package. It works with the rest of the putter. It works with the standard grip. But like Marty said, we're trying to venture out a little bit more to some of this non-traditional, these putters. I don't even know if they're non-traditional anymore, but just trying to get out with that counterbalance, the arm lock, and even we're doing more and more work with the long putters too.
I don't see a pepper on this head cover. What's going on, Tony? Come on, man. I thought the pepper was was your calling card, right? Like the wet bandits putting the things in the sink. Like, where's the pepper? We got to get one on there.
We can work on that.
Okay, perfect. I got to make sure your signature's on
I
there.
appreciate it.
Besides the Craz-E coming back, what's your personal favorite model of all the models here in Scottsdale?
I think there's I gotta go Craz-E.
Really?
It's just, I
Okay.
mean, it's been around so long, and just it was nice to bring it back and just work with it again, and just again dive into those numbers and MOI and what that putter does, how well it performs, the forgiveness of it, and just the look. It's very unique.
Yeah.
It's very close to pink, so that I think what
One of the secrets of the Craz-E has a very low center of gravity, right? So the lower the CG, you've seen this theme in the G440 line. Now you're seeing it here in Scottsdale. Low center of gravity. That's a big part that makes it feel good off the face.
Yep.
Tony, what about the B63? Tell
Yeah.
us a little story about the B63.
Yeah, so the B60 is another iconic putter with ping. We've done this putter for a long time. It's very close and special to us. On this particular design, we were working with a couple of players in Japan, but also Billy Horshaw at the time was interested in the B60, but he was looking for something with that mid slant hosel. I personally think that geometry of the B60 it's a lot of round corners and edges and softness. It's not a lot of hard edges on it. So I think that putter fits that design perfectly because it's a mid slant. It kind of flows into the head, and the whole head kind of flows all together. But it was originally working with some players to see a B60 with a different toe down angle and with that type of a look. So that's
it's strong arc.
it's a
Slide arc.
Slide arc.
B63
Yeah,
slide
yeah.
arc.
Yeah, and the B60 is usually around 30 degrees, and then this one has a little bit more toe hang. So,
Okay.
But I think more importantly, I think just that hosel fits the geometry of that head. Again, it was tour inspired to do that.
I mean, that's one of my favorite parts. I mean, golf clubs are golf clubs, and I know that they are, years in the making in terms of how they're produced. But I feel like in terms of the golf clubs that are unique or new models, it feels like the putters more than anything can be inspired by tour players coming to you guys and saying, "Can I see this? Can you guys adjust this?" Then all of a sudden they become the putter that people can buy. I just think that's so cool, and it's such a cool story to tell.
Yeah, and I think that's one of the things of my job I really enjoy is like you can go out with players that, oh, I remember I had that putter in my garage, or I remember my dad played this putter. I really like that putter, but man, I'd really like to see what would it look like with this,
Right.
or that, or something that fits my stroke type better. What can I do to get this model to fit me better? So that helps us as a company and designing putters is to come up with new stuff, maybe a little spin on something old, but we're always looking to make that better if we can improve on something we've done before.
I mean, Tony, are these like email? Like, let's go through the Billy Horschel story.
Yep.
Are these emails? Are these conversations? Are these him coming in and showing you what he likes? Like, how does that process work from, hey, I'm a top 20 player in the world,
Right.
I've got some ideas,
Yep.
to, oh, now all of a sudden it's one of the 9 models that we're offering in the Scottsdale line?
I would say it's a little bit of both.
Okay.
It's direct, emails or text from a player that wants to see something. And a lot of times, I think we talked about this before. It could be me doing some CAD work and sending them 4 or 5 different looks, and they say, "Hey, pick your top 3," and then we just kind of narrow down to a look that they like on the screen. And then the next thing for me is I'd print something out on our 3D printer, and then go out on tour and take it out and have them actually set it down behind a ball and see if they like that. They like or don't like, whatever. We just go through that process a few times before we actually start cutting apart. But yeah, a lot of Billy was mostly like sometimes it's through their agents, it's through our reps. It's he's been in here several times and just sitting down talking about stuff in the past maybe he's played with us that he's had success with, and just kind of revisiting some of that stuff.
He's used our PEBAX insert a lot. He's a big fan of that from
Yep.
a sound and feel standpoint.
Yeah, he's been in our putter for a couple years now with
Yeah.
the same type of material,
Yeah.
same type of.
I got another one, Shane, that we had on the pod last year. Matt McCarty,
Right.
Tyne. He's playing a Tyne center shafted. So tell us about the Prime Tyne C in this family.
Yep. So the primetime putter has been really good for us. It's very popular. We a lot of times when we set out to say, hey, we're going to do 9 models and we'll review it with a team, a lot of times we just get this feedback from our sales teams. You have to have a Tyne putter. It just does really well for
Right.
us. A center shaft putter with the Tyne just seemed like a really good mix. We've done some of that with PLD. We've some of that with Matt.
Matt,
We've
yeah.
done some of that work on tour, so we know that model, it's a symmetric design, and that hosel, the hosel is another thing that's new, not new, but we've gone back to putting the little stem on top of that, which it's interesting. A lot of players is like, if you show them both, where the shaft just goes directly into the head and one with the stem, a lot of guys will look down and like they can't really tell you what's different, but they know they like that one, which is the stem.
Interesting.
So some of that feedback, Mackenzie Hughes is a big proponent of that, right? And some of the guys that played center shaft for a long time always go back to, hey man, that stem, it just looks different, it looks better. So based on that feedback, went back and added that to this.
That's might be arguably my favorite little piece in detail of the Scottsdale family is the Primetime C and that little stem. It cleans it up, And I think we can tell Matt McCarty, maybe he's grew up in Scottsdale. Maybe this family.
Well, I mean,
he's got his
listen, he keeps
fingerprints
winning
on
like
this
he's been doing in 2024. It might be something smart to do. I mean, the guy, you think about that too. I mean, it's just so interesting. You talk about the progressions of a professional golfer, and if you're Matt McCarty, you go from I'm playing Corn Ferry Tour Golf to I'm having some success on Corn Ferry Tour Golf to now I'm winning on the Corn Ferry to now I'm winning on the PGA Tour, and now I'm an influence on a whole line of putters. I mean, it is a cool part of the progression of pro golf is all of a sudden Ping has obviously been interested in you, but now we're listening to what you're saying because you now become one of the best golfers in the world.
100%.
Well, Tony, we always appreciate the time. We always appreciate chatting putters. I know you're excited about the Scottsdale line. And I know we always push people to get fit for putters. I'm assuming that's a big part of this as well. Make sure you go through the web tool and make sure you get fit for one of these models because, as we said, there are 9.
We work closely with Marty and his group. And when we go in, I keep going back to when we pick our models, a big part of that is we work with Marty and his team is making sure we have the different stroke types and different putters for all different golfers and different strokes that we have. A guy can go and get fit and figure out there's 2 or 3 models that will fit his stroke type. So it's important, I know, for Marty and for our team is to make sure we're covering all the different types of putters and stroke types.
Yeah, we're in this interesting era, Shane, where you've seen a lot of the market try these heel shafted deep CG putters.
Right.
You have to have a lot of torque, and I've played with a lot of people. So both the theory of it and anecdotally, a lot of people miss those putters to the right. Then we've seen some players try these center shafted putters, they have a little different design philosophy. Everyone's missing those to the left. The right answer is in putters is that you need to match, you need to fit how you apply force and torque to the putter itself. And we have a kind of a simplified strategy on that now. If you pull your putts, play more toe down putter, push your putts, play more face balance putter. We can really simplify that. So if folks want to go out and try our WebFit tool, go to putter.webfit.ping.com. Only takes a couple minutes. Great way to kind of get to know the whole Scottsdale family and our PLD family too.
It might take longer to type that into your browser than actually to do that.
Exactly.
Right there. Tony, we appreciate the time as
Thank
always.
you.
Great
Appreciate
chatting with
having
you.
me.
Excited about the Scottsdale line. This is the Ping Proving Grounds podcast.